The way that I've imagined a foundation for some sort of morality, given the type of story that I'm telling in this document, the way that I go about morality is like, hey, like if you have an understanding of morality such that you know that there's things that you should do and there's things that you shouldn't do, then by your very own conceptual understanding, you ought to figure out what those things are, what you should do and what you shouldn't do, and then you ought to do those. Like those are like the only prescriptions that we really can absolutely make in the document when we talk about morality. Those are things that you should do if you understand morality like that. Like if you have an understanding of morality akin to that. So it's something that we're only able to leverage the person who's reading this, their own conceptual understanding of morality itself. Now we could start getting to questions of like, okay, what actually allows you to figure out what is morally good or morally bad, and what allows you to then do it. And this is where we get to start leveraging everything that we talk about in part 2, which is just abstractly speaking, identifying and pursuing our goals. So imagine the goal is figuring out what you should and shouldn't be doing, and imagine the goal is doing the thing that you think you should be doing, and not doing the thing that you don't think you should be doing. Like all those techniques are in here, and you know that you ought to do those things. So one of the things that we can kind of prescribe is potentially learning what would allow you to be doing those things, or what would make it easier for you to handle these things. And perhaps furthermore, it would be something like you ought to build a cognizant relationship with your own identity or moral identity and something like that. Like something where you have to keep paying attention to it over time. You can't just let it go, because what we learn from this is like once you stop paying attention, you can get pushed around in many different ways. Your understanding might change. You might start thinking that something that you thought was good is bad, and vice versa. Like you have to pay attention to what's going on. Is your document relatively agnostic about meta-ethics? All right, meta-ethics is the branch of philosophy that studies the nature of morality itself rather than determining what is right or wrong. While normative ethics asks, is stealing wrong? Meta-ethics asks, what does it mean to say stealing is wrong? Oh, we went through this. Okay. So I would say yes, we have to be agnostic about meta-ethics in the sense that like this idea of saying that there is a nature to morality itself, I don't think that we're allowed to make statements like that, because that implies something about like the absolute nature of the world or something like that. When in our case, I always try to ground this in, some sort of normative pragmatism where, so much of our understanding of what is contingent upon our culture. And thus what we can do is we can try to come up with conceptualizations that help us out, that are accessible and compelling and powerful. But we're not allowed to say that is like the right answer, that is the nature. While normative ethics asks that, meta-ethics asks, what does it mean to say stealing is wrong? Is that a fact, an opinion, or just an emotion? And yeah, like we wouldn't say that there is a correct answer here. There's ways in which we can frame this such that to say that type of thing, we can think of that as a fact, we can think about it as an opinion, we can think about that as an emotion, but there's probably a more precise way to talk about these things that don't have us asserting some nature of morality itself. So I think we are agnostic, but like we're not like agnostic in the sense that we say that all of these things are true, or I'm sorry, possibly true. We're agnostic in the sense that we're saying that they're all, if someone were to assert that one is absolutely true, that they would be wrong in some fundamental way.